just rulers of the earth assemble themselves together, take counsel against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder, cast their cords from among us. But he that sitteth in heaven shall laugh, but the Lord shall have them in his division. The child rise and let his enemies be scattered away, and let them that hate him flee before him, and smoke is driven away, so drive them away. As wax melted before the fire, so let the wicked perish at the presence of Jah, Rastafari. Leader and I walk, the leader and I walk. Sanctify, let him be magnified, the heartbeat with the joyful eyes. Walk, the leader and I walk, the leader and I walk. Sanctify, let it be magnified, uplift my voice, whoa. Leader and I walk, leader and I walk. Sanctify, let it be magnified, there's no place to hide from the stuff to right. Leader and I walk, leader and I walk. Sanctify, let it be magnified, the heartbeat with the joyful eyes, whoa. Yeah, Jah, we this. I may apply our hearts, wisdom and ways. Words, sound and power, not the fire that appears. Natural order remain the same, and the mutants them a change. Oh, yeah, from the ancient of days. Overstanding the powers to create your faith. Different heart, time and foot, we move from this place. Yes, that's yeah, clothed with majesty. What a local lead, and now we are be a judge for one. Now we are judge from my beat, our praises the feature. Now with your right to love a lead, and with that be a judge for one. Now we are judge from my beat, our praises the feature. Leader and I walk, leader and I walk. Sanctify, let me magnify the heartbeat with the joyful eyes. Oh, leader and I walk, leader and I walk. Sanctify, let me magnify. There's no place to hide from the stuff to right. Leader and I walk, leader and I walk. That's the eye, the most high, and the eternal guide for I and I and I. Leader and I walk, leader and I walk. Foundation the wise, our thoughts we create, our faith to guide the way every day. Skills we cultivate in the name of God. I'm a wasted to the harvest days. Yep. And I'm planting states, fair trade and fair exchange. The tweets and the yes, them can remain and clear the way to family and no way. I want to go around for another day. So don't be afraid to discipline your way, cause the truth can be moved from its place. All and it takes our thoughts to create, our fear to guide the way every day. Skills we cultivate in the name of God, my way straight to the harvest days. Your fluidity from the stars, celestial influence just brings in all the singers and players of the instruments, and the intellect and the innocence and the faithfulness of unten strings with your thanks and praises for all the excellence and his evidence. And the eye them seek, you know, and the feelings run deep in my bones, and I do the foundation, but I have to go. So that's the ancient throne, yet a black stone from its mama love homegrown. Oh, and I see you stand alone, not bad no soul, love. Leader and I walk, leader and I walk. The heartbeat with the joyful eyes. Whoa, leader and I walk, leader and I walk. Sanctify, let it be magnified. There's no place to hide from the stuff to right. Leader and I walk, leader and I walk. Sanctify, let it be magnified. Yes, that's right, the eternal guide. Whoa, whoa, the eternal guide, yeah.
What's up? What's up? I am 63 hours into a fast. Means I have not had food in damn near 3 days. And one of the reasons I do that is because it not only helps cleanse your body, but it helps cleanse your mind. One of the oldest ways to gain cognitive ability and to clear your mind and to kind of clear your soul a little bit is to fast. Now, you're going to get some weight loss benefits of that because obviously, if you're not, putting food in your mouth every 10 minutes, then you're good to go. And a lot of people do intermittent fasting. I choose to do a complete straight water fast, water only, and maybe some moringa. Why? Because I want to have a strong mind. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be swayed by any old thing that comes my way. You know, they say those who stand for nothing will fall for anything. And I believe in what's happening with new media right now. I mean, you have to have a strong mind to build something great, because normally people who build things that are great are usually considered at the onset foolish and stupid. And, a lot of people say, hey, Rev is he's militant, or he's angry. The brother's passionate. He's trying to build something, and you can't always do that smiling in people's faces. He may be like a little bit of a bull in the china shop, but he gets his point across. And instead of bucking up against what he's trying to do, if we all come together, great things can happen. Great things can happen. It's just like LeVar, you know. People thought he was crazy for trying to create the JBA. The man had the courage. He may have went about business wrong, but in theory, he had the right idea. He didn't care about obstacles. You know, he didn't care about obstacles. He didn't care about any of that. He moved forward regardless of what people thought about the JBA, regardless of what people thought about him trying to create his own brand. He had the courage to try to pioneer through that opposition and move forward, which brings me to the topic of today, which is overcoming obstacles. And I'm going to bring my brother DZ on. Hey.
Hey, Sister JJ, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. Another fire topic to talk about today. About securing overcoming obstacles. So we're looking forward
Trying to get our minds right. You know what I mean?
exactly. It's so important right now, especially with what's going on right now in this world. It's so important to get our minds right and just make sure that we stay strong, mentally, because there's so
Yeah.
much going on right now.
It
Yeah,
really is. If it's not a
definitely.
disease, it's economic struggles. If it's not that, it's the
That's right.
climate and things that are going on.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
shout out to Dexterous Crockett. I see you in the chat, my brother. Um, Thank you for joining. And yeah, it's something that needs to be worked on. I think if people were stronger mentally and looked at obstacles as stepping stones instead of
Yeah.
hindrances and stumbling blocks, and used the obstacles to your advantage to make you stronger, like fasting is an obstacle.
Yeah.
On purpose, you're
Yeah.
not eating any food. And that is not an easy thing to do. You have to have a tough mind to be able to do that. And if you
Yeah.
start that journey and stay on it, your mind will get stronger as you go through those days with no food,
Certainly. Certainly.
you
Yeah.
know?
I totally agree with you. I've done fasting before. A lot of times I went on like a 40-day fast, pretty much like I did intermittent fasting. So what I do is that I'm not going to eat anything in the morning until 6 p.m. at night, and I'll do that. And not only did that cause a lot of weight loss, but my mind was free. I was able to think
Yeah,
better, concentrate better, you know, and it was such a beautiful experience. And people don't realize the food that you put in your body is so important because if you put all these toxins and all these unhealthy foods in you're not thinking properly, you're not thinking straight, you're not able to truly go about your day and thinking freely. And because the more unhealthy foods you put, the more depressed you get. You know what I mean? And people don't want to talk
definitely.
about that. Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, yeah,
That's one of the reasons why I do it. I wake up every day
yeah.
to a visual impairment that I can't run from because as sure as my eyes are open, it's in front of my face. I can't do
That's right.
anything but
That's
see
right.
it. And
Yeah.
I remember the first time I woke up and realized it was happening,
Hmm.
and at first it was hard, and I
Yeah.
realized, hey, this is affecting my vision to where I'm no longer normal. I can't drive a car like I used to. I can't just watch
Hmm.
TV normally like I used to. And I had two
Yeah.
choices: fold up and die or push forward. And it's not, you would be
Yeah.
surprised
Yep.
what you
Yep.
get good at when you can't see,
Hmm.
you know? And
Facts.
so
Facts.
when you
Yeah.
lose something, that gives you something else. That gives you strength in other
Hmm.
areas. And you use those
Hmm.
strengths to move forward. You feel me?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, you mentioned such a great point, and I never thought of it that way. And it's because a lot of it's easy to to get down when you lose your normal abilities, like a visual impairment, for example, and not realize that you actually do have other strengths that you can advantage of. Because as humans, it's easy to and not and actually, like, it's easy to get down and not realize the the other strengths that we do have, apart from, for example, in your case, but from seeing and
Hmm.
hearing and all that. Because th- I always say the the Most High has given all of us gifts to take advantage of.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's so easy to kind of focus on the weaknesses that we do have instead of focusing on the stress that we do have,
Right.
in order to kind of accentuate our potential and become better and better and better every single day. And we got to a point in this society where, it's so easy for people to tell us what we can't do and what we can do, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been a victim of that for a long time. People telling me, no, I can't do this, I can't do that, and not having to listen to the negative talks and look at myself, criticize myself. Self criticism is so important, and improve on what I can do, and
Yeah.
get better at what I can do.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And I mean, this mission that we're on with New Media Gang, it's not an easy one.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a lot of obstacles. So if
Certainly.
people's minds are not able to handle obstacles, they're not able to handle opposition, they're not able to, I mean, because what Rev is pioneering is something that, like what LeVar did with the
Mm-hmm.
JBA and the baby BBB. You don't come to the NBA with your own shoe brand. You're not in high school with your own shoe brand. You don't challenge
That's
the NCAA. You don't challenge the NBA and come up with your own leagues. These are things that pioneers do
yeah.
because there is no path. You have to create that path. And if you're scared, or if you're scared to say the things that people don't want to hear or ask the questions that people don't want to answer,
Yeah.
then really, that's what makes a leader.
Exactly.
You have to
Exactly.
be not afraid to overcome obstacles. You got to take that mountain and climb it one step at a time. Mountains aren't meant to stop you, they're meant
Mhm.
to be climbed over, you
Exactly.
know?
Exactly.
So I
Like
stumbled upon this book.
yeah.
I stumbled upon this book. The obstacle is the way.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically tells you how to overcome obstacles. Now, YouTube has it and it's 6 hours. So there's no way in hell we're listening to a 6 hour book. But what I want to do
Yeah.
is break it up into sections and go through it this entire week,
Yeah.
and I think that would be good. Just something midday to keep people's days going, get people's minds right, and get people feeling good about
Mm-hmm.
what we're trying to do. Get them feeling
Yeah.
strong, you know what I'm saying? And get them ready to
Exactly.
to meet opposition because it's coming. You don't
It
you
is.
don't accomplish something like this. You remember have you ever heard of a lady called Mary Tyler Moore?
Mary Tyler Moore. No, her name sounds familiar. Who is she?
She was a lady back in she had a show called the Mary Tyler Moore Show back in the
Mm-hmm.
70s. I saw it in syndication and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she said something that was extremely profound because I think cancer finally got a hold of her.
Mm-hmm.
But she lived a long time despite that. And she said that you can never learn to be brave if only good things happen to you.
Wow. Wow. That is a powerful one.
I
That's
live
a
by that.
powerful one. Yep.
I
Yep.
live by that. I'll never forget. I heard it. I read it about 10, 15 years ago. And
Yeah.
I thought, damn, that's true. You can't learn to be brave if only good things happen to you.
You're so right. You're so right, JJ. Like, Sister JJ, like, I think the bravest moments for me, the hardest moment for me was when, like I told you, when I lost my mother. Because that's when I lost a lot of things. Like, I became homeless. I so those were trying times for me. Sleeping in the
Shout out to
car.
Rev and shout out to Queen Royalty and Rev. I see y'all in the chat, my family. I
Uh,
love you. Go ahead.
Shout out
Go
to
ahead,
Brother
Dizzy.
Red, man. Shout out to King Pierce's late house, Queen Royalty. The family is in the building. Yeah, I will, and I was saying that, when I became homeless and I went through those situations, Sister JJ, that made me even stronger. You know,
Yeah.
at that moment, I felt so weak because it's like, I'm like, man, who do I turn to? You know what I mean? Who do I turn to? Where should I go and everything?
And that's
And I,
one of the hardest things, though, because you lost your home,
I
bruh.
lost my home. Yeah, I lost my home. I lost my mother. I lost myself. Really, I lost my job at the time because it was a temporary job. I lost it because mentally I wasn't right. So going
Hmm.
through that, I'm like, who should I turn to? And the only person that I could turn to, because my whole family is back home. I'm the only guy that at the time I was in Portland. So I'm the only guy that's there, and nobody. I can't turn to anybody. So the whole time I'm like, who should I turn to? And the only person or higher power I could turn to was God. Was the Most High. You know, and I prayed every day and everything. That kept me warm at night because at the time I had no car and nothing, so I was sleeping at shelters and everything, taking the bus. Remember when I first started my new job when I moved to Seattle, my temporary job. I remember going to work with my suitcase on because I had no place at the time, you
Hmm.
know. And but I remember those days. I always go back to those days because that made me stronger. That made me stronger. Now, when I do go through hard times, I think of those days, and I'm much more equipped to deal with those hard times than before. You
Yeah.
know, it's always
And,
good to
and
go
and
through
why
that.
were you more equipped to deal with those hard times?
I was more equipped to deal with these hard times because I dealt with worse times
There you
before.
go.
So this is what I'm dealing with. Whatever hard times I'm dealing with right now is nothing compared to what I dealt with before. You know what I mean? And
Because
I
you've been
always
to hell and back already.
I've been held and back already. I've dealt with it. I've been at the ICU with being diabetic. I've been in the ICU. I've been fighting for my life. Dude, these were dark years for me. you
Let
know.
me let me ask you a question. Are you still diabetic?
I'm still I'm still diabetic. I had surgery on my so I had a weight loss surgery in 2020 to
Uh-huh.
get rid of so I'm still like diabetic in a way, but I'm not taking my shots or anything like that. But I
Uh-huh.
still cannot drink like heavy sugar, because whenever I drink something sugary, my whole body, like my, it just I end up having a sugar crash. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
you.
yeah. Yes,
You
yes.
know, do you know that one of the things that, and diabetic is an obstacle that not many people realize they can
hmm
overcome? And I
hmm
see your question, Rev, and I think, you know what she meant by that. You know what I mean? You of all people know what she meant by that because you preach that all the time. You can never move forward without opposition. And if you don't learn to deal with opposition, you won't grow as a person.
that's right.
And that's what I think Mary Tyler Moore meant by that. And it is heavy. And people have to realize that life is not always roses and sunshine because we're faced with that every day. You know what I
hmm
mean? And what you deal with
hmm
diabetes, let me tell you something. It is overcomable. It is curable. And not a lot of people realize that. My wife and I are very passionate about that. Big pharma is a big ass business. And not shouting, not negating
It's curable. Yep.
traditional medicine or anything like that, but they are in it to make money. They treat the symptoms and not treat the disease itself. Fasting is a way to literally get rid
It
of. I
is.
didn't say I
It is.
didn't not treat it, not make it better,
hmm
get rid of. And people don't
Yep.
realize you can get rid of diabetes. It's like they think it's a life
You
sentence
can.
and it's
You can. I'm living like it's not there, because through my weight loss surgery, I was able to lose a lot of weight and also change my diet too as well. And through my diet, through the fasting, I think the fasting definitely helped a lot, because the first 3 months you don't eat anything. Like, you don't eat much. Like, you only drink you know, protein shakes and everything, water,
mm-hmm.
that kind of get rid of so all the toxins was getting I was getting rid of all the toxins through the weight loss and everything. When I really started eating solids, I was eating very small, but I was eating at a certain time. And I realized that I had a lot of energy that I was conserving during the day. It's funny because it's like, no, but you're eating to get energy, right? But then it's like, now, yeah, I'm not eating anything during the day, and I had more energy. It was
Yeah.
crazy, but it
Yeah.
made sense though, because you're able to concentrate even more. You're able to do the things that you want to do. You're not eating heavy. You're not eating foods that are
Oh
making
my
you feeling
God.
sluggish and everything. You
Let
know?
me tell you something. My energy, I see you, coach, down there in the chat. He wanted us to expound on it. I knew that's what you were going for. Um, but you know what? I couldn't even go to sleep last night. I literally had to
Yeah.
force myself to go to sleep. I have so much energy after
Mhm.
3 days of not fucking eating one thing.
It's amazing.
I have so much energy. Why? Because my body has switched fuel sources. It is now burning fat for
Mhm.
fuel. Your
Yep.
body will eat itself when you fast.
Yep.
It needs fuel. Okay, you got all these fat stores. Let me go in that and use that.
Yep.
People
Exactly.
think they're starving themselves and they're not. Fasting is one of the best things that you can do for yourself.
It's the best. I actually plan to do a fasting more once I get settled down to my home, but I think it's the best thing that anybody can do. And I
Yeah,
think as a lifestyle too, it's a great thing as well.
it really is. I'm gonna go for as long as the
Because
longest I ever went. Guess how long I
especially
went?
if you do intermittent fasting.
That's what I do 20-hour fasts on a regular basis and eat like one meal a day.
Yeah.
But
How long?
I've been really bad
Like,
lately. I've been eating all throughout the day for like a couple weeks
yeah.
now and eating pizza and shit. And I'm like, you know what? Get your mind right. Get back on track.
It's not easy.
You know? Because I'm like, how you gonna
Yeah.
get this vision thing fixed if you cannot
Get you.
keep your mind
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So I'm like, I'm going to do this once and for all. And I fasted back in 2018, DZ. I shit you not, 20 days straight.
Mhm.
And Jen was like, babe,
Wow.
you need to
Wow.
eat. And I'm like, no, I don't. I feel fantastic. Do you know the longest person who ever fasted
Yeah.
started out at about 400 pounds and fasted for like 385 freaking days over a
So
year,
fantastic.
drinking coffee and water and vitamin supplements. So I'm like, damn, if he can fast for a year, I can definitely fast for 30, 40 days. And that's what I was on my way to do. And then of course I was going too good, felt too good. And I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and get me a little meal in. And I'm like, I can go right back to it. Never made it back to it. And I'll fast for 2 weeks,
Wow.
no problem at the drop of a hat. But I'm like, you know what? Especially with
That's
this mission,
amazing.
I want my mind right. And I'm like, I'm gonna go for as long. I was just gonna do it for the weekend and then go back to one meal a day today.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna keep going.
Wow.
I'm gonna keep going because I feel good. And I'm gonna see if I can surpass the 20. I'd like to get to 30 or 40. They have a clinic called
Keep
North
going.
Star Clinic that
Keep going.
fasts people
It's
for.
you feel much better. Like yeah, I tell you like I I can tell you. Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. You're delayed big time now.
I think oh you're cut.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, delayed now. Yeah. Is it better? Yeah, I can
Yeah.
hear you now. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
play.
I can
I'm
hear
gonna
you. Yeah.
just have the. I'm just gonna go over the introduction to this book. I'm not gonna get into any
All right.
chapters today,
Yeah, I was going
because I
to.
know everybody has things that they have to do.
Okay.
So this is session one, and it's just gonna be the introduction of this, and then we can discuss it for a little bit after, and then we can get out
Yeah.
of here. All right.
Tim Ferriss presents The Obstacle is the Way.
Guys, let me
The
know in the
timeless
chat
art
if you
turning
can, if
trials
it's
into
buffering
triumph.
or things aren't working right
Preface.
or
In the year
whatever.
170, at night they stand on the front lines of the war in Germania. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of the Roman Empire, sat down to write. Or perhaps it was at dawn at the palace in Rome. He stole a few seconds to himself during the games, ignoring the carnage on the floor of the Colosseum below. The exact location is not important. What matters is that this man, known today as the last of the 5 good emperors, sat down to write. Not to an audience or for publication, but to himself, for himself. And what he wrote is undoubtedly one of history's most effective formulas for overcoming every negative situation we may encounter in life. A formula for thriving, not just in spite of what happens, but because of it. At that moment, he wrote only a paragraph, only a little that was original. Almost every thought could, in some form or another, be found in the writings of his mentors and idols. But in a scant 85 words, Marcus Aurelius so clearly defined and articulated a timeless idea that he eclipses the great names of those who came before him. Chrysippus, Zeno, Cleanthes, Ariston, Apollonius, Junius Rusticus, Epictetus, Seneca, Musonius Rufus. It is more than enough for us. As Marcus wrote, our actions may be impeded, but there can be no impeding our intentions or dispositions, because we cannot make and adapt. The mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting. And then he concluded with powerful words destined for maxim. The impediment to action advances action, but stands in the way becomes the way. In Marcus's words, are the secrets to an art known as turning obstacles upside down. To act with a reverse clause. So there's always a way out or another route to get where you need to go. So that setbacks or problems are always expected and never permanent. Making certain that what impedes us can empower us. Coming from this particular man, these were not idle words. In his own reign of some 19 years, he would experience constant war, a horrific plague, possible infidelity, and headed to the throne by one of his closest allies. Repeated and arduous travel across the empire. From Asia Minor, Syria, Egypt, Greece, and Austria. a rapidly depleting treasury, an incompetent and greedy stepbrother, his coworker, and on and on and on. And from what we know, we saw each and every one of these obstacles as an opportunity to practice some virtue: patience, courage, humility, resourcefulness, justice, creativity. The power he held never seemed to go to his head, neither to distress or burden. He rarely rose to excess or anger, and never to hatred or bitterness. As Matthew Arnold says from Mark 1863, in Marcus, we find a man who the highest and most reputation in the world, and the universal verdict of the people around him was that he proved himself worthy of. It turns out that the wisdom of that short passage from Marcus Aurelius can be found in others as well, men and women who followed it like he did. In fact, it is a remarkable constant down through the ages. One can trace the thread from those days in the decline and fall of the Roman Empire.
battlefield or in the boardroom, across oceans and many centuries, members of every group, class, cause, and business have had to confront obstacles and struggle to overcome them, learning to turn those obstacles upside down. That struggle is the one constant in all of their lives. Knowingly or not, each individual was a part of an ancient tradition, employing to navigate the timeless terrain of opportunities and difficulties, trials and triumphs. We are part of heirs of this tradition. It's our birthright. Whenever we face, we have a choice. Walk by obstacles, or advance. We might not be emperors, but the world is still constantly testing us. It asks, are you worthy? Can you get past the things that will inevitably fall in your way? Will you stand up?
Wait a minute, can you guys hear it?
Plenty of people have answered this question in the affirmative, and a rare breed still has shown that they not only have what it takes, but thrive and rally in every such challenge, and that the challenge makes them.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Them better than if they never faced the adversity at all. Now it's your turn to see if you're one of them, if you'll join their company. This book will show you the way. Introduction. This thing in front of you, this issue, this obstacle, this frustrating, unfortunate, problematic, unexpected problem preventing you from doing what you want to do. That thing you dread or secretly hope will never happen. What if it wasn't so bad? What if embedded inside it or inherent in it were certain benefits, benefits only for you? What would you do? What do you think most people would do? Probably what they've always done and what you're doing right now. Nothing. Let's be honest. Most of us are paralyzed. Whatever our individual goals, most of us sit frozen before the many obstacles that lay ahead of us. We wish it weren't true, but it is. What blocks us is clear. The systemic, decaying institutions, rising unemployment, skyrocketing costs of education, and technological disruption. The individual, too short, too old, too scared, too poor, too stressed, no access, no backers, no confidence. How skilled we are at cataloging what holds us back. Every obstacle is unique to each of us, but the responses they elicit are the same: fear, frustration, confusion, helplessness, depression, anger. You know what you want to do, but it feels like some invisible enemy has you boxed in.
Guys, let me know if you can hear me. I think I lost DZ or he had to get out, but it kicked me out, and then I realized the book wasn't playing. Shout out to Douglas Marganum.
Holding you down with pillows. You try to get somewhere, but something invariably blocks the path, following and thwarting each move you make. You have just enough freedom to feel like you can move, just enough to feel like it's your fault when you can't seem to follow through the momentum. We're dissatisfied with our jobs, our relationship, our place in the world. We're trying to get somewhere, but something stands in the way. So we do not blame our bosses, the economy, our politicians, other people, or we write ourselves off as
I love fucking StreamYard.
failures. Our goals is impossible. We really want this ball, our attitude and approach. There have been countless lessons for and about success, but no one ever taught us how to overcome failure, how to think about obstacles, how to treat and triumph over them. And so we are stuck, beset on all sides. Many of us are disoriented, reactive, and torn. We have no idea what to do. On the other hand, not everyone is paralyzed. We watch in awe as some seem to turn those very obstacles, which stymie us, into launching pads for themselves. How do they do that? What's the secret? Even more complex. Earlier generations faced worse problems, fewer safety nets, and fewer tools. They dealt with the same obstacles we have today, plus the ones they work so hard to try and eliminate for their children.
Shout out to Brielle. I see you, my girl. Thank you for coming in.
And yet, you're still stuck. What do these figures have that we lack? What are we missing? It's simple. A method and framework for understanding, appreciating, and acting upon the obstacles life throws at us. John D. Rockefeller had it. For him, it was cool-headedness and self-discipline. Demosthenes, the great Athenian orator, had it. For him, it was a relentless drive to improve himself through action and practice. Abraham Lincoln had it. For him, it was humility, endurance, and compassionate will. There are other names you'll hear again.
Shout out to HL Kid. Thank you, my brother.
And again, in his audiobook, Ulysses S. Grant, Thomas Edison, Margaret Thatcher, Samuel Murray, Amelia Earhart, Erwin Rommel, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Richard Wright, Jack Johnson, Theodore Roosevelt, Steve Jobs, James Stockdale, Laura Ray, Nicholas Wilder, Barack Obama. Some of these men and women faced unimaginable horrors, from imprisonment to debilitating illnesses, in addition to day-to-day issues that were no different from ours. They dealt with the same rivalries, political headwinds, drama, resistance, conservatism, breakups, stresses, and economic calamities, or worse. Subjected
skipping real bad
to these pressures, these individuals were transformed. They were transformed along the lines of what Andy Grove, former CEO of Intel, outlined when he described what happens to businesses in tumultuous times. Quote, bad companies are destroyed by crisis. Good companies survive them. Great companies.
Okay, so DZ, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing in the chat that they said that it was breaking up really bad.
Yeah, it was like skipping pretty fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. It was a good thought in theory. Okay. He said I'm skipping too. So I don't know. Maybe let me go ahead and take YouTube out. That might be making things worse. I definitely got to upgrade the equipment.
Yeah,
I'm on a
sometimes
laptop, so you know how that goes.
Yeah, sometimes StreamYard can trip a bit.
Okay, so I took YouTube out. That should improve things. But in theory, I think we all get the point. You know, obstacles are meant to be used as stepping stones and not hindrances. You know, they don't mean that you have to stop. You just got to find another way around it.
That's right. It's so important, and I think there's been a whole misconception that obstacles, like you said, are a bad thing. You know, obstacles are only a way. If people could see that obstacles are a way for us to get better and grow as individuals and as a people, I think that's what's really important. You know, the
Yeah.
whole, you know, I think that's just the whole misconception. It's all about really changing your mentality, and in regards to these obstacles, getting better, coming out of it, and and be metamorphosized into a stronger individual.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And shout out to Marina Daniel.
Shout out
I
to you.
see you, sis. Thank you for pulling up and spending a couple of minutes with us. We're talking about basically using obstacles as stepping stones. And, shout out to Rev King Fuse Lit. He has got a mission to create a network, which is what the original idea of new media was supposed to be about, creating a network of individuals who come together to bring the truth to people. Not always bring you sunshine and roses, but bring you the truth,
That's
and bring it to you in many different forms over many different platforms. And, we've got a wide array of individuals involved with this thing. We have older folks, we have younger people that have brilliant minds. I listen to Juju and Pope go back and forth today, and Pope got pretty passionate. And
true.
the cool thing was, you could tell that Juju is he's growing, because that brother, you could tell he heard the fire that Pope had, and he didn't let it break him. You know what I mean? And he kept his cool, stayed on an even keel, but then you could feel the passion build up in him too. Like, nah, motherfucker, you ain't just going, get your point in and get all passionate. And I'm not. But then he broke it right back down. And both of them, had a very healthy conversation about, the top 100 NBA players. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I love listening to them go back and forth. And that's what you have to do. Conversations always aren't going to be lovely and rosy. You got to get passionate about stuff. People would listen to Coach Joe on DJ's channel, and, some people could rock with it and some people couldn't, because of how passionate he was.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you have to deliver a message that people, they need to hear it.
Mm.
And you have to do it in a way that it's going to be in their face, because if you don't do it like that, they're not going to take it seriously.
They want you got to tell them straight up, and you got to be. There's no other way you can say it. And I told brother Rev, I'm glad I like the way he does things. I like the way he says things, because you cannot mince words mince words at the end of the day. And in order for people to get the truth out, you have to be somebody who is, you know, straightforward about the way you transmit your information. You know,
Yeah.
because if you're not going to transmit your information properly, then people are not really going to.
People are going to be misled.
They're going to be misled, and that's the last thing we want, to be misled. You know what I mean? So it's this new media idea is bigger than just providing information that is alternative. It's more than that. I think it's to you're the truth. It's all about being genuine, you know, and
Yeah.
and being genuine. Part of being genuine is to provide the cold hard truth, no matter. And people will have to hear the truth, and a lot of people are not going to like it, and a lot of people are going to like it. But it's gotta be given. It's gotta be served right. Served in cold, and people
Yeah.
gotta take it. Yep. Mhm.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up in a little bit.
Yeah.
Jen and I, when we had our delivery service, there were times when things happened beyond our control. Okay. And we would pick up food from a restaurant and get stuck in traffic, or the restaurant was backed up and the food wasn't up yet. And, when people would call to place an order and it was in the middle of summer and it was during a busy time, and Jen and I used to get into it. She's like, well, get the order. And my mom used to tell me something. She used to tell me every dollar ain't meant to be got.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to turn away business in order to save business. Because if I say, hey, yeah, sure, I can take your order, not telling them that it may possibly be an hour-long wait before you
Mhm.
get it, or an
Mhm.
hour and a half, or sometimes down here, even 2 hours in the summertime because of traffic and things and restaurants being backed up because it's a resort area, that
That's it.
I'm me not giving you the option and being upfront and telling you, look, I'm gonna tell you right now, because this is how I would come at them. Okay, I will go ahead and take your order, but I'm gonna be upfront with you. It may possibly be 2 hours before I can get your food to you. And I don't want you yelling at me when I get at your door because you waited 2 hours. I'm gonna tell you up front, it's possibly 2 hours before you get your food. So you have the option at this point not to place the order and maybe attempt to go get it yourself, or I'll go get it for you, but it's going to be 2 hours.
Yeah.
And they would say, oh, yeah, no. I can't wait that long. Yeah, I'll find something else to do. But you know what? Thank you. Thank you for being upfront and honest with me. Or, hey, you know what? I ain't got no other options. Hey, I'll wait. When you get here, you get here.
Yeah.
So I gave them the choice, and you can't be afraid to tell people what's what.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because she just told me the story of the other day of Jen just lost her uncle, and she told me the story of how the fact that the doctors were telling him that he was cancer free for many, many, many years, many sessions.
Mhm.
And she found out about a waitress that's not far from where we are, that the same thing, that it was a mixed diagnosis. They didn't see the cancer and didn't tell them that they were sick. And next thing you know, they're finding out when they're in a hospice somewhere what's going on. It's like, come on, man. If it's my time, and something's going on, I want to know.
You
You
want
know,
to know
if
exactly.
if I come to you because because normally I don't want to know. I feel like I can just move forward. But if I get in a situation like originally what happened with me with the cancer that I had, I was just trudging through.
Mm.
If I would have a day where I wasn't feeling as well, I would, hey man, take a Tylenol. You got a headache or your stomach, take some Pepto Bismol and keep going. You know what I mean?
That's
But when
right.
I got to a point where my body shut down in a way that I couldn't do normal functions, I had to go to the hospital.
Yep.
Okay. So do
Yep.
you think that I would have wanted them to just blow smoke at me and tell me, oh, nothing's wrong with you? At that point, when I can no longer fix myself and I'm coming to you and I'm expecting you to be straight with me and
Mhm.
you're telling me you're all good, and then, I'm laying at death's door all of a sudden, yeah, I'm be like, look, seriously, get as much money as you can from them motherfuckers, because sue the shit out of them because they, you know what I'm saying?
So
I
what
should have been told.
yeah, it's that's the thing. It's just being told the truth about your condition and everything. Um, that saves a lot of heartache. You know what I mean? It's like that's why I don't like when people don't tell me exactly what's going on with the situation. Like you mentioned a great point about your business and everything. It's like you rather tell the customer that, hey, I'm going to be late with your food. All right.
Yeah.
So because if you're not telling them that, if you don't end up telling them that, then you show up 2 hours and then they're frustrated. They're like, but you could have just told me. You know what I mean? That was saving. At least you're giving them the expectation, the correct expectations that you know that about the situation. And same thing with your conditions. Like you show up at the hospital, it's like, don't tell me everything is good. Tell me exactly what it is. That way, at least I have proper expectations of how I should, see how I should maneuver around my life, how I should live my life and everything. And I feel like that's what a lot of people lack these days. A lot of people don't have the heart to tell the truth about a situation. You know what I mean? And I've had to like in my younger days, I've had to deal with a lot of, you know, I was a shy person when I was young, so I didn't know how to, tell people
How to
exactly
express yourself.
how to express myself. So I ended up learning that later on in my life, like when I was, I think, even coming out of college. That's when I started learning how to really be who I truly am. And I'm still finding myself over time, but
Hmm.
I started very late.
We
You
never
know?
stop learning ourselves, brother. But
Yeah,
yeah, I did too. But go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. Exactly. You never stop. And there's so much I'm learning about myself right now. But I wasn't straight up with people, and it hurt me, a lot of times, And I'd be like, you know what, man, I have to change the way I do things. I have
I'm
to
gonna
be
tell
more
you
straight up.
something.
Yeah,
Jen got me into a lot more zen place than I used to be, because I used to be fired up. You
yeah,
think Rev was put full of piss and vinegar? I mean, I worked in corporate America where I ran a sales team, and I think I was telling Queen Royalty this the other day, but
yeah.
I had a team of about 20 people that
Hmm.
we had to, we sold businesses long distance service back in the day at MCI.
That's right.
And I had a sales team, and I said, it's in Rev's best interest to see these channels succeed, because
Hmm.
if each individual channel succeeds, new media succeeds.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
shout out to you, my brother. I see did you see his comment?
I saw this JJ Beezy the door with Jay. No, we need
Yeah, me,
hey,
me and DZ kind of rock it.
we
I
rock it.
like doing stuff with him, and he comes on
Hey,
my stream. I like our chemistry. I really
JJ,
do.
we'll talk about this after this stream. Man. I've been feeling it like that too. Hey, keep your eyes open, guys.
Hey,
Yeah.
but with, and I done lost my train of thought just in saying that.
Oh
But
yeah.
basically what was I saying? What was I saying,
Yeah.
Dizzy?
You're basically saying that every channel, like if
Oh,
everybody trying to be
right.
successful, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the team, right? Each individual. If I didn't teach them how to sell and they weren't successful as an individual,
Hmm.
then my team wasn't successful. And when you tie the paycheck to it, then it really gets, you know what I mean? But here's my thing, and here's the point why I was making this. Sometimes people would be like, okay, well, I can't do this because, or I don't know how to do this, or they just would be lazy and wouldn't want to sell. And I'm like, okay, guess what? The gas and electric company, when you don't have a commission check, is not going to hear that you didn't feel like working today.
Hmm.
The things are not going to just fall into place if you don't work at it. And I would give them the hard messages, and sometimes I would pull my team into the conference room and cuss their asses out,
Yeah.
and I would get in trouble for it. That we heard you all the way. Well, hey, we got numbers though, right? Okay,
Hmm.
everybody understood where it was coming from. I wanted them to succeed, not just because I wanted to succeed, but because I cared.
We care a lot.
And I know he cares about us, and I know he wants to see New Media Gang become something that rivals the greats.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
that rivals old media, that lets people be delivered what they need to be delivered in a fashion that they have never had it delivered before. And hey, you gotta be willing to take some shots to stand out in front of those bullets, and he's got that.
Exactly. Exactly. You gotta rock with it. You gotta rock
Oh
with it,
yeah.
and sometimes you have to make very, just like in your experience, you gotta make very difficult decisions in order to reach that success that you want to get into. And I think this is the whole thing about new media is that, like I told Brother Rev, we're in the infancy stages right now.
Yeah.
Right now, we're navigating around this and everything, but I always show, shout out to Brother Rev, showing love to him every single day because of the amazing impact that he's had on us and everything. I think it's a beautiful thing. And through new media, I was able to meet your sister JJ and meet a
Yes.
great individual, great people such
Thank
as
you, my brother. I appreciate
everybody.
that.
Oh, no problem, sister JJ. So I think right now what we do have now, we're able to collaborate on such beautiful conversations like this that the people need to hear.
Yeah.
They really need to hear that. So that's why I truly appreciate the fact that we're doing this, and it's gonna, we're gonna keep on getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and we're gonna get to a point where we're unstoppable. We're completely unstoppable. I do believe we're unstoppable right now, but it's gonna get to a point where you cannot deny the power. You cannot
Yes,
deny the influence of new media. You know what I mean?
definitely.
And people will see that. People will see that. And I believe that's the vision that Brother Rev has. That's a vision that a lot of us have. We're going to get to a point where we're very unselfish. That's what I love about each person in this whole thing. Very unselfish. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. But
Definitely.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm telling it's gonna happen. I mean,
Hmm.
it's gonna happen, you know. And shout out to Douglas Margaram. He's saying that new media is he's like it's a good midday show, a good midday conversation to have.
Hey, shout out to you, HL kid. Oh man, yeah, it is. It is. I mean, definitely, Sister JJ, man. Along with the other shows you have, this should be a common one. That's why I say I don't mind coming here every single day and chiming in, and on this
I would
study
love it.
session, because I love that. I got time on my hands. We can do it.
Hey, let's do it. You
Yeah,
know,
let's get it done. Yeah.
And Jen, I know you're shout out to Vegan Knowledge. I love you, sweetheart. Shout out to Marina Daniels. Thank you for rocking with new media, Marina. You have been a day one, my sister. You, Queen Royalty, both you sisters have supported my streams always, and I appreciate you so much. You know, I appreciate you so much. And my baby, she wants to do some health streams, and Aza seems stoked about it. So I definitely want to get into that because, as you could tell, I'm passionate about that diabetes thing. People, the
Mhm.
wool is being pulled over. Look, Rev, that's where my passion is. People need to know the truth about the meat and dairy industry. They need to know the truth about big pharma. They need to know, because they're keeping people sick,
They are.
and it's not cool. You know what I mean? They're killing people off, and people need to be informed that they can heal themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they just need to be strong enough mentally to do it. So hopefully shows like this, on networks like this will help them do that.
Sister JJ, I would love to go deep into this diabetes on another on the stream
On
for sure.
another stream, that's
Because
fine.
yeah,
We'll do
because
that.
because what I went through when I first had my diabetes, I had no insurance. Imagine. So getting my shots they were expensive, and it was ridiculous. And I'm like, but how come we live in a system where just getting an insulin a shot of insulin is like $500 with no insurance? That's crazy. But you go to
Canada has free
we
insurance.
have free insurance, exactly. And you go to Canada, getting a shot of insulin is next to nothing.
Yeah,
But you come to the States, oh my goodness, and all these big pharma companies are
because it's a
taking advantage.
business.
Yeah, it's a business, capitalistic society. You know what I mean? So everything is capitalistic. Everything from businesses to the healthcare, everything. So that diabetics, and thank goodness I'm healthier. But when I had it, and I needed my shots, it was not easy just to get some money and getting that. Like, I do not wish that on anybody else, and this is a situation that we're in right now. So I'd love to go deep into that.
Definitely we will. And it's so funny that you said that because it reminds me of the whole thing. And I'm gonna stop focusing on that damn C word. But when I was getting my chemo, I
Mhm.
actually ended up losing my job 3 months into it, and I was supposed to get it for 6 months. So I never did go back. But to be honest with you, I can count the times damn near on one hand that
Yeah.
I've been to the hospital since then. And people are like, are you crazy? No, I don't want them looking all in me, telling me I got something. Guess what? You'd be surprised what you
Mhm.
can live with. But if they get
Yep.
an inkling, and I never tell them straight up that I had cancer from the jump when I do have to go, because they
Mhm.
look all into ways to try to scare you into getting all kinds of treatment. Oh, you may have it again.
Yep.
Yeah, right, whatever. I feel fine. So if I got it, it's just going to get me. I'm out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're not going to get in my head and start
Absolutely.
trying to get
Yep.
money off of me. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
Not to negate
Yeah.
all doctors, because not all doctors are like that. It's a lot of good ones out there. But
For
I'm
sure.
gonna
For
go
sure.
ahead and close out, my brother. Guys, thank you. Hey, listen, if you missed the song that I played,
Yeah.
if you like reggae music, if you missed the song that's called G Jalid I by Biblical, it's on point. It talks about what we talked about today. If you can understand patois,
But
you're gonna like that song. Okay,
yeah.
so shout out to everybody. Shout out to King Fuselick, Queen Royalty, Douglas Marganum, Marina Daniels, HL Kid, Dexterious Crockett. I saw you in the chat. Vegan Knowledge. Shout out to DZ. If I missed anybody, I apologize. Hashtag New Media Gang, baby.
Hey,
All right.
hashtag New Media Gang. Shout out to the whole family. Thank you so much for bringing me on the show, JJ. Truly
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for coming, my brother. Check the song out, and the link is in the comment.
All right, big time.
Why do lead and rich and the people them imagine vain things? False rulers of the earth assemble themselves together, take counsel against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder, cast their cords from among us. But he that sitteth in heaven shall laugh, but the Lord shall have them in his division. Let Jah rise and let his enemies be scattered away, and let them that hate him flee before him, and smoke is driven away, so drive them away. As wax melted before the fire, so let the wicked perish at the presence of Jah. Rastafari. Leader and I walk, the leader and I walk. Sanctify, let him be magnified, the heartbeat with a joyful noise. Walk, the leader and I walk, the leader and I walk. Sanctify, let it be magnified, uplift my voice, whoa. Leader and I walk, leader and I walk. Sanctify, let it be magnified, there's no place to hide from the stuff to right. Leader and I walk, leader and I walk. Sanctify, let it be magnified, the heartbeat with the joyful noise, whoa. Yeah, Jah know we this. I may apply our heart's wisdom and ways. Words, sound and power, that the fire that appears. Natural order remain the same and the mutants them a change. Oh, yeah, from the ancient of days. Overstanding the powers to create your faith. Different heart, time and foot to be moved from this place. Yes, last year. Clothes with majesty, my hearts are locally, and now we are be a judge for man. Now we are judge on my beat, our praise is the feature. Now with your right, you love a lead, and with that be a judge for man. Now we are judge on my beat, our praise is the feature. Leader and I walk, leader and I walk. Sanctify, let me magnify the heartbeat with the joyful noise. Oh, leader and I walk, leader and I walk. Sanctify, let me magnify. There's no place to hide from the stuff to right. Leader and I walk, leader and I walk. That's the eye, the most high, and the eternal guide for I and I and I. Leader and I walk, leader and I walk. Foundation of the wise. Our thoughts we create, our faith to guide the way every day. Skills we cultivate in the name of God. I'm wasted to the harvest days. Yup, enough planting space, fair trade and fair exchange. The tweets and the yes, them can remain. Them clear the way to family and no way. I want to go brown pan another day. So don't be afraid to discipline your way. Cause the truth can be moved from its place. No matter how long it takes. Our thoughts we create, our fear to guide the way every day. Skills we cultivate in the name of God, them my way. Straight to the harvest days. Your fluidity from the stars, celestial influence just brings in all the singers and players of the instruments and the intellect and the innocence and the faithfulness of 110 strings of the thanks and praises for Aliyah excellence and his evidence. And the hide and seek, and the feelings run deep in my bones, and I do the foundation. stand alone.